Can we do it again, Rabbi? Like touch.
Yes, yes, no.
Let's see.
Find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, go see, watch it, but see if they're sporting. That's what he's working on. You hear me? I'm not recording.
I'm gonna.
Huh? Yeah. No, should be streaming. It's streaming then.
It's streaming, but with like a intro page. Oh no, they. Rabbi,
All right, guys, let's go. Wow, loaded up.
From that microphone.
With the help of Hashem, we are learning Brachas dafyomi. We are towards the end of the sugya regarding to the deceased. Know the people who passed on know what's happening in this world. We began with Rabbi Yonasan and Abchia walking together in the Pesachayim. Rabbi Yonasan was not careful in having his tzitzis removed from over the graves. Abchia criticized him, your loyeg larosh. Rabbi Yonasan says they are not aware of what's happening, and then we have amazing stories. At Khan, we left off at Daf Ches on the base. We have 3 lines before the bottom of the Amid, and we were unable to refute the opinion of Rabbi Yonasan. And now we're going to start today that Rabbi Yonasan, at the end, he acquiesced towards the Bechia, and he agrees, yes, that the people who passed on are indeed aware of the affairs of this world. We're going to go on from there, speaking about the importance of giving, let's say, rabbinic dignity. There's going to be 24 places throughout Mishnayos and Shas where one should have been put into Cheder or were put into Cheder because they affronted the chabad of a Talmud Chacham. We're going to have the opportunity today to learn the case of the Tando Shalach Noim, which is the case in which Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim disagreed. That's the story of Metzia. And we're going to go through the details of that machlokes. We're going to have different formulations of tziduk hadin, which is a prayer that we say after, God forbid, there's a passing. Today, the tziduk hadin is a very long expression of a person accepting upon themselves the justice of Hashem, but there's going to be a certain question mark regarding a phrase, whether it's befitting or not. And we will start today on dafyomi on the base, the sugya of human dignity, kavod habriyos, and how many times we will allow things to happen even though they regularly may not because of kavod habriyos. On the other hand, we have the pasuk that ein chachma, ve'ein tfuna, ve'ein eitzah, neged Hashem. Human dignity is important, but on the other hand, we cannot go against the will of God. And we're going to have to find the right balance. When do we allow certain things to happen? Even though normally we would not, we allow it to happen because of kavod habriyos. And when do we say you can't break God's law? Even if it's going to affront human dignity, we're going to learn the concept of Isura Mimamoyna Le'alfinan. We're going to have a case where a person has in front of them 2 positive commandments, and you can only keep one on the account of not keeping the other. How are you to decide which one should trump the other? And with that, let us start again on Daf Ches on the base, 3 lines before the bottom of the Amid. Va'av Rabbi Yonasan Hadar. Okay, so Rabbi Yonasan, who initially allowed for his tzitzis to drag over Kevadim, retracted his opinion. He agrees to the Bechia, and how do we know that? Now here, don't confuse one topic with the other. This question is not directly connected to the topic that we're speaking about. We're speaking about the question whether Mason are aware of what's happening here. Here, he asked another question. How do we know that Mason Shemesapim Zemzem, that after the people pass on, they converse with each other, and as we'll see, also regarding the matters of the world. As it says, and here we're quoting a pasuk towards the end of the Zayis HaBracha, that Vayemer Hashem Elyahu, Hashem tells him, meaning to Moshe Rabbeinu, Zois ha'aretz asher nishbaitu li'Avraham li'Yitzchak li'Yaakov leimoir, and Chevron a kreit haiklal b'yadcha. The word leimoir means to tell others. Vayemer Hashem al Moshe, leimoir means to tell others. How do you explain the word leimoir? In other words, Hashem is telling Moshe, this is the land that I swore to our patriarchs. Leimoir, to whom? Oh, my leimoir is on that. Rabbi Yonatan explained that, Moshe, you are about to pass away. Leich, Emor, Lehem, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Go tell our boys that Shvua Shenishbaiti Lochem, that the oath that I took to the patriarchs, that God will give to their descendants, the land of Israel, Kvar Kiyamti Livnechem, I already am upholding. Now hold on, how did Moshe Rabbeinu know that God is already upholding? Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even enter the Holy Land. So either this is referring to the fact that we did already conquer the lands, Me'ever Layarden, and they do have a certain Kedusha, not as much as, so it's the beginning of the fulfillment, or Al Pi Chassidus, the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu saw the whole land of Israel. So the Re'iyah of the Tzaddik, the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu saw it, that empowered us to conquer it. So the Tzaddik's vision of the land is already the beginning of the fulfillment of us inheriting the land of Israel. So here Rabbi Yonatan proved is the Haraya that after the passing, one communicates to the other regarding that which is happening over here. Now, if you will think that that Rabbi Yonatan upheld this position, that once people are no longer here, they are unaware of the happenings of the world, is ki amar lohu mayhaver. Of what consequence would it be? In other words, they don't know, they lose touch, they don't care, it's all connected. So who cares? Why would they even care? Is the haraya that they do know what's happening. But here's the question. If Rabbi Yonatan indeed holds that they know what's happening, and knowing what's happening means even before you relate things to them, they are aware of what the happenings of the world, then why did Moshe Rabbeinu have to tell the patriarchs where we're at? They already knew. So why did Moshe Rabbeinu have to tell info to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov if they should know it by themselves? So the Gemara says indeed they didn't need to know new info. They knew that on their own. The reason why Hashem told Moshe to speak to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is to give the patriarchs an opportunity to thank Moshe for everything that he did. So he told them, go tell them something. They already knew it. But that's only la'achazu kelei tivusa l'Moshe. And so we conclude. Again. So we have here that Rabbi Yonatan and Abchia, they are of the opinion that the Mason know that which is happening in this world. Now let's continue. Omar Rabbi Yitzchak, kol ha'masapar acharei hamis. If someone will speak disparagingly after someone passed away, so ki'ilu masapar acharei ha'evan, it's as if you're speaking something negative on a stone. In other words, either they're not aware or they don't care. So says Rabbi Yitzchak, since they don't know that you're speaking negatively about them. So it's as if you're speaking about a rock. Now hold on. How does this flow? We just concluded that even Rabbi Yonatan agrees with Rabbi Chia. So either Rabbi Yitzchak is arguing, but he's not. Really, the part is like this. It depends how the person lived their lives when they were here. If a person here lived a life of caring for others, so that care continues. Who personifies that more than anyone else? Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, our forefathers. They cared, they were concerned about it, so they were aware. Even before Moshe Rabbeinu told them, they knew exactly what's happening. If a person lives their lives for themselves, so then when they leave, they say, shalom, goodbye. And once they disengage, they don't want to know, and therefore they don't know. So it's really up to the way the person lived, Oh, fragt die Gemara, Eini, how can you say that? How can you say that when you speak Achrei Hameis? They don't know or they don't care. V'ha'amar av papa, that Chad ishtoi milsa basei demar Shmuel, that someone after Shmuel's passing spoke something negatively about Shmuel, and after he uttered those disrespectful words, the nafal kanya mitulala, a large heavy pole fell from the tulala, from the ceiling, from the roof, ubasei la'arnakam demoichi, and it split open the encasing of his brain. Oh, so the Gemara says, now hold on. We said that tzaddikim, in other words, you know what you want to know about. But that would mean that a tzaddik wouldn't care to know that someone is criticizing him. He's not engaged in that. So why did that happen to him? So the Gemara says it didn't happen to him because Shmuel was aware of it. You know why it happened to him? Because God was aware of it. God stood up for the dignity of Shmuel. Shanei tzurmer medrabanan de kuchabrichu tavei bi'ikare. Hashem is demanding retribution because his yikar, because his honor was affronted. Oh, Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Now, whoever speaks disparagingly, it means after the beer, meaning after the passing, and even if that tzaddik is not aware of it, because he doesn't want to be aware of it. Even when the tzaddik is alive, he might not be aware. He doesn't want to be aware of it. Neufel b'gehenim. The one who speaks negatively will fall into Gehenim. Sheneman, as it says, Tehillim Kuf Chafei, V'hamatim al kalkaloisum. As for those who turn to perversiveness, Yolichem Hashem, Hashem will drive them es poyalei ha'oven, with the workers of iniquity. In other words, they will be going with the ones who are in Gehenim. And how does the verse end? Not good riddance. Shalom al Yisrael. So how does it fit? So it says the Gemara, "Va'afilu b'shash shalom al Yisrael." In other words, even when it's good for everyone, that is a sin that God won't forgive. They yolichem Hashem es poyalei ha'oven. Tanach Rabbi Shmuel. No. So we began speaking about that even if tzaddikim are not aware, or they're not aware of the criticism, God stands up for them. In other words, you have to be careful with the kavod of a tzaddik. So now we go on. So we learned in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael the following brayso that Imra Isa Talmud Chacham. Even if you saw a Talmud Chacham doing something that he should not do at night, al teharer achrav bayayim, harbor no ill thoughts about him during the day, during the subsequent day, because Shema asa tshuva. Says the Gemara, Shema asal kadaitach, only maybe, for sure. Elavada asa tshuva. Let's be very careful with the dignity of a Talmud Chacham, which means of a God-fearing Jew. When do we say that it's healthy? We're speaking not only to give him the benefit of the doubt, but to come out for sure this person did tshuva. That's only if his sin was in a private manner. But if you saw a Talmud Chacham wronging someone else financially, there, don't give anyone the benefit of the doubt. You have a responsibility to make sure that wrong was made right. In other words, tshuva is not enough. It's only forgiven if there was restitution made. No, don't think he made restitution. In other words, it means here you have to be of help of making sure that restitution is indeed made. There are 24 instances that a Beis Din will be menadin, they will excommunicate al kavei toirav for someone who is, so to say, flouting rabbinic authority, for someone who's going against the dignity. Rav doesn't have to mean a individual, it can mean about the institution, the rabbinic institution. And Vekulan and all of these 24 times are learned in the Mishnahs. And that's a classical statement. So, Chaver, we are expected to know the whole Mishnahs. So all you need is Rabbi Shua to say, you'll find that 24 times, and go find them 24 times. So Amalei Rabbi Lazar hears it from Rabbi Shua and he tells him, Heicha, I don't know 24 times. Amalei, you don't know? Go schwitz. Lechi tishkach, go and find him. So Nafaki went out, dark, and he was medayik. And ba'ashkach, and you know how many times he found throughout the whole Mishnayos that someone either was put into chedim or should have been put into chedim? He found 3 times from the 24 times. Oh, So let's go figure them out. What are the 3 times? Number 1 is hamizalzel, one who belittles netilas yadayim. He completely, in other words, the mizalzel is more than just not washing your hands before you eat bread. That's what we're talking about here. It's about someone who cares? We don't need it. The mizalzel in it. You belittle it. Number 2, someone who speaks negatively after a tzaddik passes away about that tzaddik. And number 3, if someone speaks chutzpahdik brazenly, klapamayla against God. Now hold on, aren't we speaking about Beis Din Menadin al Kavod Harav? So, the whole reason why we give kavod to a Talmud Chacham is because in that Talmud Chacham is a little bit more than others of godliness revealed. It's all about giving kavod to God. So the importance of honoring a Talmud Chacham is mamish the same as the importance of giving honor to God. And therefore, the punishment of being put into a ban, being excommunicated, is the same, whether a person went against a kavod of a Rav or of a Beis Din or of God Almighty. And now the Gemara is going to tell us these 3 times, and there's a reason why we're going to go out of order. So the Gemara is going to begin with the second one. And this is a Mishnah and a Duyois. The who is referring to Akavia Mahalal. He says, when it comes to the laws of a soita, there are certain women that are automatically excluded from the whole parsha. A giyotis, a convert, a female convert, or Rashi here says a woman who married a convert. Nor a woman who was a shifcha kananis, who was emancipated, and they have the din of a giyotis. And why are they excluded? So Rashi tells us because in Parshas Nasa, in the portion of a soita, the portion begins with the words, the Bnei Yisrael, Amar Baparsha. Bnei Yisrael, in this case, comes to exclude someone who converted. However, the Chachamim say, well, who cares? So they converted, now they're Yidden, so they're Mashkim. But Amrulai, and the sages, to prove the point to him, to Akavya, B'mahalalo, they told him, let me tell you on Maisa. Maisa Be'Karakimis, that's the name of a person, or a name of a place from where the woman came, that there was a Shifcha that was Mishuchreres, and she originated from Yerushalayim, and the Hishkua Shemai Bavtalim. And when she was suspected, when she was included in the Parsha of Vasleita, they made her drink the water. So you see that even a Giyotis, a Mishuchreres, is included in the Parsha. So the Amar Lahem, so Akavya B'Mahalalel right away responded to the sages, you're bringing me a raya from that which Shemai and Avtalia did? Dugma Hishkua. They're like her. Shemai and Avtalion, who were the 2 great leaders in the Zman of the Sugais, either they were converts or they were descendants of converts. So, of course, you bring a raya from them. They themselves, they wanted to make sure that everyone should view a convert like everyone else. Now, that's a big chutzpah. They were the leaders of the generation. So after he made that statement, says this Mishnah, according to this version, V'naduhu, they put Akavya B'Mahalal into Chedim, and not only that, Umeis B'Naduyoy, he passed away before it was released, and therefore this is the halacha that if someone passes away in a band, in a band called a Chedim, in a Nidoy, this Usekoloi, Beis Din, Esarayne, Beis Din, stones his Arain. Really, it doesn't mean that they stone it with many stones. That's.
I'm going to just say it's an argument of Chachamim.
It doesn't matter. These words cannot be said. They didn't accept that he said on Shmai and Avtalion that you can't bring a raya from them because they're protecting their own honor.
Was it because it was a lesser generation? Meaning
No, you can't do that. If they pass on that, it can be a machloikis. But you can't say that a Rav passed on the way because he was biased. Not a Rav today. I'm talking about the Rav then. I'm sorry, all the Rabbanim today are great. And Abada then, these were tzaddikim.
So it's the way that he argued.
You can't, the fact that he had in his head, that he understood that you can have the Doyle Yisrael that are giving a ruling, not because it's the emes, or because though they received the tradition, that mamish bias. That's a big affront. And they, Usukole based on Esaroni means that they put a stone on his arm. Amazing how it changed. That putting a stone on an arm is the greatest sign of disrespect. Today it's admitted by many people. You go to a Beis what do? You put a stone. Okay, but today it's a cover. it's a simon that, first of all, the matzevus, it's a big difference putting it on the oven versus putting it on the matzeva. The matzevus of the old days, to begin with, just a pile of stones. Putting a stone means you want to be machabed the mace by making sure that the tzion remains. So you're making the tzion bigger. It just comes out of this interest. Now, and now you'll understand why we went out of order. Because the second one, or the first one that he mentioned before, is Hamizalzel v'natilas yodayim. And Mahi, the Tanan, here in Eiduyos. In Eiduyos, the Seder was, first they spoke about the story of Akavim and Mahalal. And then, Amar Rebbe Yehuda, you got the whole story wrong. You got the person wrong, and you got the issue wrong. It's amazing. Chas v'sholem sh'akavim b'mahalal al nisnado. Maybe. Why not? She'ein azoran in elas al kol adam b'Yisrael b'chachma b'taharo b'yiras chet. The azor is never locked. What are we talking about? Whenever the Koren Pesach is brought, all the Yidden had to go into the azor. We don't all fit into the azor. Now there were many miracles. Still, we're going to learn in Pesachim that they allowed everyone in until it was packed, and they would lock the doors, and then that group would bring the Koren Pesach, and Hallel was recited, v'chuli v'chuli. Then when they finished, they allowed one group out and a new group in. So that was when there was a locking of the doors of the Azorah. And we have a tradition that there was never a time that when you had a large group of people in the Azorah, that there was anyone greater than Akavim b'Mahalal. Not b'Chachma, not b'Tana, not b'Yiras Chet. So you're telling me that he was put into a Chedim? Can't be, he never said that. And even if he said that, he would have done what needed to get done for them to take away the Chedim. Elas minadu, so a different person in a different case. As Elazar ben Chanoich, Shepikpei, he disparaged the Tilas Yodayim, and because of that, Uchshemeis, Sholchu Bezdin sent, and they put a large stone on his arm, which is the concept of skila, and as we learn in Sanhedrin, really, skila doesn't mean you stoned him with many stones. You threw him on a stone floor. And if he didn't die, then they would throw one stone. And only then, if he wouldn't die, would they be stoned. But anyway, so being that in Masechtas Eiduyos, the order was first they spoke about affronting a Talmud Chacham. Then they spoke about Natilas Yodayim. That's why the Gemara, when it brings its cases, it reversed the Seder of his initial count of 3. And what's the third? Hamegas Date Klapamayla, speaking brazenly, speaking chutzpahdik towards God Almighty, Mahi Gitnan. And here we are learning that the story of Choyni Hama'agel. So when there was a drought, he made a circle, and he stood in the circle, and he told God that he's not leaving the circle until it rains. That's not chutzpahdik. Okay, fine, don't leave the circle. But then when it began to rain very little. So he tells God, no, that's not what I asked for. So then it plachid rain, a mabul. And again he tells God, no, that's not what I asked for. I wanna, and there's beautiful lashonos, a bracha, all different types of beautiful words of exactly what I want. And then when it fell the way he wanted, good, then else is going to kashut v'yashut. Now that was considered a non-respectful way to speak to God. So Shalach Shimon ben Shatach l'choyni hama'agel, really tzarech atali isnados. You deserve to be banned. Elamav ilmali choyni ata, and if you would not have been choyni, then gozrani olachanidur. I myself would have banned you. Avomai asked, what should I do? She'ata meschata lifnei amakim. You, it's like a child and a son. That the father loves the son so much, even when the son acts chutzpahdik, you know what the father says? Ah, so smart, so beautiful. You know, there's a bias that it's like even when you sin in front of God, yeah, God does exactly what you want. And v'olav, and on you, on him, on Choyni Hama'agel, says the pasuk in Mishlei, that Yismach avicha v'yimecha v'sogel yoyladetecha. In other words, those who bore you are glad, meaning they're so glad with you, no matter what you do, else is beautiful, everything is great. You know, the fact that he should have been put into a ban, and again, kavod hamakim and a kavod of a tzaddik are connected one to the other, so that's the third proof. So that's all of the 3 cases that he came to. So now the Gemara is going to wonder that why did Rabbi Elazar only find these 3? The Suleke are the only 3 occasions. The Tani, we learned, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef, Torah Braisa, Toidois Ishroimi, Toidois, the man of Rome, all right? He was the great leader on the Jewish community in Rome, that he eingeführt a minig, he established the custom, or he's upheld the custom. As v'nei roimi, laha achilam gedoyim mikulasim b'leilei psachim. That we, our minig chabad is, that even the zuraya, right, we take off all the meat. We shouldn't have anything similar to roasted. We don't even have roasted chicken. But to have roasted meat is something that we really we don't do on the night of Pesach. Right? When people have all of these types of meat, right, for the Su'udah, you have to make sure that you shouldn't put it in the oven by itself. You should add liquid to it, because roasted the night of Pesach is awesome. It shouldn't give the appearance of we're having something similar to the Koren Pesach. Now, over there in Rome, he had a minute, and he upheld or he instituted a minute that people should prepare their gedoyim, their kids, the way they prepared it in the Beis HaMikdash, which is that they took the entire animal and they roasted it in its entirety, and even the innards that was removed was left by their sides of the animal. As the Torah says, Roshai, al-Birkav, al-Karav, it was all put together. Mikulas means armed. When a soldier has an arm, the arm is on the side of the soldier. So all of the entails, all of the intestines, whatever was taken out from the animal, was roasted on the side of the animal. And that's the way people ate the meal in Rome. This is after the Churban. And that was against the rabbinic law. The Chachamim asked us eating roasted meat on the night of Pesach. So Shalach Leishur ben Shatach, same concept, that Ilmali Toibus Ata, you're a great person. If you would not have been as great as you are, I would have put you in a ban. That which appears, that which resembles kachim bachutz. So that's a braisa, clear braisa. So why didn't Rabbi Elazar know that? So the Gemara says, no. Rabbi Shua ben Levi did not speak about in the works of Tanoim. He said 24 places in Mishnayos. That doesn't count the braisas. The Mishnah Seinu coming in on. You quoted a braisa. Freki Gemara weiter ubi masnisan like now, this is known as the Tanach Shalachnoi. This is really Bava Metzia Daf Montes. Here, a few quick dinim. Earthenware utensils, if they become tamei, they can never become purified. The only solution, you got to break them. Earthenware utensils, meaning something that was cooked in a kiln. If you have an earthenware utensil that wasn't cooked, it wasn't baked into pottery, even though people, what can you use it for? People figured out how to use it. That is b'chlal not mekabel tum. So they had an oven, and the oven became tamei. Now again, if the oven is mechubar lakarka, then the oven cannot become tamei. You have to know many dinim tum v'tar. But if the oven is portable, and according to some scenarios, if it was portable, even if it's now semi-attached, it's still considered portable. If it becomes tamei, that's it. Nothing. What are you going to do? You have to break it. So what happened there is they broke the oven, but they broke it.
Sand or dirt.
Sand, earthenware utensils that were not baked in a kiln are not mekabel tumah. So this proper clay cheres became tamei. So they broke it horizontally, and they broke it into rings. They didn't shatter it. So they cut it in a way where instead of you having a proper, think about an upside down pot, it was rings. And then they took sand, and with the sand they connected all the rings. Back. So the question is, you have now an oven that is clay cheres and sand. How do you define it? Is it considered vaited a earthenware utensil that could be mekabel tumah because the rings are made out of cheres, or do you go after the connectors, which is the choil, which is the sand that cannot be mekabel tumah? So that was the big machlokes. They called that the coiled oven, because it looked like a snake because of the rings and the sand in between. So if you cut the oven, that already became tamei into horizontal rings. And the nasan choil, and you put the sand ben chuli lechulya to cement it together. Rabbi Eliezer goes after the connectors, and therefore it has the status of a sand kelim. and urged Keli cannot become tamei. Mitai. The Chachamim held that it's tamei. Now you have a machlokes rishonim. What's pshat tamei? Is it tamei that now that you rebuilt it, now again it could become tamei? Some rishonim say that when you break it in such a clean way and then you put it back together, the original tumah comes back. Not only could it become tamei, it became tamei again. And everyone said tamei. Rabbi Eliezer stood by himself taught. And then people used that oven to bake foods, kachir, more trumais. And Rabbi Eliezer kept on paskening, so you can have a debate. But when it comes to the psak din, normally you got to accept the ruling of the public, or if you have your own tradition. The biggest challenge there is that the Chachamim had a Messiah, that God said that it's tamei. Rabbi Eliezer used logic. And no one was able to refute his logic. But this is not the way Torah works. Torah is not logic. Torah is tradition. So they were very much upset with Rabbi Eliezer. He can have his questions on. We all have our questions. We are told to think. But a question doesn't mean we're going to change the halacha. Question means that I don't understand. I would like to understand. Rabbi Eliezer, because of his logic, he overruled the Chachamim. And they banned him at the end because of that. And that was the case of the Tanura Shalach Noim. That's a very big story there, because ultimately he got that baskoil, he got everyone to side with him. And Torah la bashomayim, natschuni bani, natschuni, we learned this in Bava Metzia. What's the type of the word achnoi? Achnoi means a snake. It wasn't only that the oven looked like a snake, is that shehikifu halachis ka'achnoi, that the Chachamim surrounded Rabbi Eliezer with, see the word, not with logic, with halachas, because they were proving to Rabbi Eliezer from our Torah Sheval Peh that you're wrong. He logically had answers. You're right, and what happened the time when that he didn't accept. He felt that since he understood otherwise, he's right. And what happened was that day he called Rabbi Eliezer that all of the taharas that was in the oven after it became tamei, whether it became tamei again, or whether it was already tamei because retroactively the tumah was chal in it again, or mikano la'aba retroactively, however you learn shot, and usirafum lefanim, and they burnt all the foods in front of him, and chevre, truma and kachim may not be burnt unless it's tamei. That's a way of showing we're certain that we're right and you're wrong, and he never gave in, and at the end, Berachot. Berachot is a euphemism, is that they banned him, they cursed him. So again, why didn't he quote that case? Now, guys, in the Mishnah we learn about the machlokes, but who writes that he was banned? A braisa. That's the answer. Again, so now the Gemara agrees. The Gemara, like Rabbi Elazar, they went through the whole Mishnayos, and you don't have any other place other than the three. So how did Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi find 24? The answer is the Gemara. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi medama milsa lemilsa. He compared one case to the other. Rashi 7 lines before the bottom of the Amud says that kol makom shirabim maslis. Whenever he saw that there was a yachid that opposed the rabbin, a machloikis gedoyla, however you define that, or echad ben achachamim shemedaber kashe keneged gadol himenu. Throughout all of the Mishnayos, we have a total of 24 such occasions. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, based on these three, knew that in those cases they would have banned him, and maybe they did ban him. But now that Rabbeinu HaKadosh was megal in some Mishnayos, like we know from the Braisa, that Rabbi Eliezer was sheberchu, so therefore there are 24 places where you have either a machlekes gedoyla, one against the many, or even more than that, that one spoke disrespectfully, and whenever he read it, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, he understood that's a case where he should be banned.
But in that case, he didn't.
One second, but Rabbi Elazar, that's why he was looking for a explicit case. Explicitly, you only have 3. Yeah?
In that case, he wasn't going against the Chachamim because he had a difference of opinion. It's because he used it, right?
So again, very clear. Not only we are encouraged to have differences of opinion, but it was because he paskined against him. But the ikar is, this is the word, is that shehikifu halachas. They, the Chachamim, had a Mesoida. They proved it based on Mesoida, on Torah Sheval Peh. Rabbi Eliezer was using logic.
So
that's the end of Yiddishkeit.
That's why he's going against.
Yiddishkeit is what God told Moshe Rabbeinu. We do the best to understand it. If we can understand it all, that's terrible. The big God, the big Torah fits into our minds.
So if that's the case, was he really going against the Chachamim?
He was going against the Chachamim. That's called going against the Chachamim. He was using his own logic to affront the tradition. Let's go back. So the Mishnah is teaching us that the people, here the Mishnah is speaking about people that are carrying the beers to the resting place. Don't forget, in those days, he didn't have a car. A person passed away, to take the person from the city to the Beis HaChaim, sometimes you walked for 3 hours. You needed to have many people, right? We took turns. You're walking for 2 blocks, and there were other people, and then sometimes the original people went back, they circulated. So they are, as the Mishnah spoke about, exempt, not exempt, v'chuli. If it's already nearing the time of Krishma, don't begin to take out the person for burial, because once you are involved in his burial, many of the people will be exempt. Wait a few minutes. Wait until the time of Shema comes, read the Shema, and then go bury. But if you began already, then you don't stop. When Rabbi Yosef passed away, they began the procession right before the time of Kriya Shema, which means that the people that were carrying then, I don't know how close the Beis HaChaim was, but who knows, if it takes more than a few hours, some of them might have missed. So the Gemara says, Adam Chashuv Shana. Interesting. But Adam Chashuv, you have to begin the burial mamash as soon as possible. Even if that will mean that some of the people who won't say Shema B'zman, which is with the nates, or sometimes in certain rare occasions won't say the Shema at all. People that are listening to the eulogy, that's called the oiskim v'hesped. If the mace is in the same room, then they're not allowed to read the Shema over there. And this is already either connected to loyer glorosh, even though loyer glorosh we just mentioned is within 4 amas. Could be there's a difference between once a person is buried, then it's only 4 amas from the kever versus the corpse in the room. Then in the room, so elama, you have to go and say Shema. But having everyone leave at the same time is also disrespectful. So take turns. Nishmatim echad echad. One guy should absent himself, read the Shema, come back. Another person. So you're machaba the mace, but everyone gets their time to read the Shema v'koyim. However, eina mace mutul lefneim. But if the mace is not even there, then there's no such a thing. Someone is giving a eulogy. The eulogizer should stop. Hey, yoishrim v'koyim. Everyone should say the Shema together. You have avelim in the room. An avel, what did we learn before the burial, is exempt from the Shema and from all the positive mitzvahs. Say it. For who and the avel or the avelim yoshev sits the doimim and the silent, and heim doimim mispalalim, and then everyone davens shmona esrei, and everyone davens. And for who oimet, here he doesn't daven. He's spotted min atfila, but umatzdik all of a sudden. That's the tziduk adin. Right, he says words that acknowledges that what? That God is just. Oh, and what are the words that he says? I sinned a lot before you. And you did not exact retribution, even 1 from 1,000. Now, is this a proper words to say? No, it's a person is saying, Tzaddik Adin means God is just. But here he's adding, he's saying that I am worthy of much worse. That you should seal our breaches. A passing is a breach. In a merciful way, because suffering is a way that God many times seals breaches, but it's a painful way. Amar Abai disagrees with that nusach. He says, a person should never speak that way. That really I deserve more punishment. Don't say those words. Why? The Amar Rab Shimon ben Lakish and v'chein Tana Mishmei Rab Yosef Lo Olam. Here, not forever, never. Al Yiftach Adam Piv L'Satan. Don't give an opening to the Satan. If a person says I'm deserving for more punishment, the Satan will tell God, he himself, she herself is moida that they deserve more punishment. But Amar Rab Yosef, Ma'ikro, where do we find an allusion to this in a pasuk? In Tanach, Shenemar in Yeshaya, that we told God, Kamat Kisudoim Hayinu. That means we almost deserve punishment like the Sodomites. Am I Adalahu Navi? So Yeshaya then says, Shibudu Bar Hashem, Listen to the words of God. Who did he call then the Jewish people? The Ketzinei Sodom, a Katzin, the chiefs of Sodom. We called ourselves Sodom. Then God called us like Sodom. We began that. Don't say something negative about yourself. Right, so then we learned, it says the Gemara, if we are able to say the whole Shema before we go into the Shura, then we should say the whole Shema. Now, what does the whole Shema mean? The Mishnah did not clarify. Avol, here the Gemara said, Avol Perek Echad, the Pasuk Echad, the Gemara is initially saying, when does the Mishnah mean to say that if there's enough time to say the Shema before you enter the Shura, say the Shema, only if you can read the entire Shema, but if you can only read one passage, or even less, one pasuk, then don't begin. We learned clearly the opposite in the Braisa, that Kavra Yasameis, or Kavara Yasameis, once the mace was buried, and Bechazor, and they are returning. Now today we make the Shura mamash there. There they made the Shura somewhere out there, but not in the Beis HaChan. So in Yochel Lahaskal Ligmoir, the Braisa says, if the people know that walking to the Shura, there is enough time for them to begin and to finish, how much? Even only one passage, or even less, even only one pasuk, then they should say it. When should they not even say that if there's mamash no time? So the Gemara says, okay, that's exactly, our Mishnah also meant that. Well, it's not a contradiction to the Mishnah. This is what the Mishnah holds. Hachinami, here in the Mishnah, that's the Ka'ama. And this leads us into the machlokes rishonim, how much of the Shema is a chiyuv midoraisa. And there's many opinions. One opinion says only the first pasuk. That's really what the meaning here is of Perek Echad, the pasuk Echad. Other opinions hold the first passage. This fits more with those rishonim. In other words, as long as you can fulfill the mitzvah biblically, then begin it. If you can't even fulfill it biblically, then don't begin it until after the shura. Turn to the dafyomi on the base. Ha'oindim b'shura. So the Mishnah added another detail that only the inner ones are exempt, because sometimes there are so many people after a burial, so you have, today we make mamash lines. So today, if there would be more people, the line would be longer. And again, the minhag today is that the Avelim walk in between the lines. There, the Avelim stood in their place. This is really what's happening now when people are not learning. In all the burials, people don't know about the shura. For some reason, the rabbis, I don't know why they don't do the shura. So people surround the Avelim and they all greet them. So it's not the inner and an outer circle. Sometimes you have many, many layers of circles. So the Mishnah says the Pnimiyim are exempt, the Chitzoniyim are not exempt. Now the Gemara further clarifies. Shura, it's not only the innermost circle that are exempt. Shura haraya pnima petura. Even the second inner ring, was the one that sees the inner ring, they are also exempt. A very practical thing. What's the practical thing? If you have people in the center and you have chevra around them, so there's the innermost circle, and then you have the one right outside of it. They, over the shoulders, in between the heads, they also see the Avelim, or more importantly, the Avelim see them. So the Chitzoniyim doesn't only refer to anyone other than the innermost. No, even the second one is also called Pnimiyim. Makev HaKarev, Makev HaRachet. It's all, the ones that can't even see the inner ring, they're chayeres. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer, now there's many ways of learning Rabbi Yehuda. We're going to learn it one way that Rabbeinu Yoin explains it. Rabbi Yehuda says no. That anyone that came there to offer words of condolences to the Avelim inside are exempt, even if there's so many people. And right now they're so far out that they can't even see each other. So what? The people in the inside are going to start moving out. Everyone is exempt. Who is not exempt? Chitzoniyim is not a position. Is why are you there? It's in human nature that when something is happening, when there's a commotion, at least by some people, maybe by most people, they get nosy, they have to stick their nose in. That's called the Chitzoniyim. Because if you didn't even go there to offer words of condolences, you just went to see what's happening, you got to read the Shema. Pnimiyah means you're there, but Pnimiyas. It's such a Pnimiyas dikatayich. All of them are Peturim, says Rabbeinu Yoina. But you know why? Because they're called the Pnimiyim. Doesn't matter how far you are. It depends. Where are you going? What are you going for? Oh, however, machmas atzman, here's the Rashi. Machmas atzman means, v'loi machmas kavod. Shalei bo lenachem. Elo lirois es ha'me'ura. They want to see what's happening. That's the pshat chitzoyni. And therefore the chayim.
What's the din with the Chavra Kadisha?
What's the din with the Chavra Kadisha? What's the question on the Chavra Kadisha? They are exempt.
They're exempt.
Sure, they are exempt. Yeah. But they're holy. They never say the Shema, they never daven. What's his name? Say Halik. Just to know, Bachal, that the Chavra Kadisha now, is just now, I don't know how now is now, only for the past few hundred years, that Chavra Kadisha is a name used exclusively for the burial society. Just to know that going not that far back, it was for everything. Chavra Kadisha meant everything. Meant for Bikur Choylen, Achnasas Archim, and Achnasas Kala. Yeah, you know, the Baal Shem Tov became the head of the Chavraya Kadishus. Chavraya Kadisha, what were they doing? They were going around to villages, they were being Machazik Yidin, helping them with Parnasa. It's interesting that now, we use that term now, it's the greatest is Taka burying. Chesed Shalem is, we'll learn this soon in Brachas. Okay. I'm saying this in a positive way, that any type of communal work is called Chavra Kadisha. Oh, now in the Gemara. So we're opening up the sugya that's going to go here. It's going to go into Daf Chav, all the way until the Mishnah. It's the sugya of Kavod Habriyas. Kavod Habriyas means that it's so important to afford dignity to Briyos, and you'll see Briyos means living, and sometimes Briyos even includes, we'll see in this sugya, people after they passed away. One of the reasons why we bury as soon as possible, first of all, it's good for the neshama, but it's a bachavadik. You don't need who wants to be that way? On the other hand, how many loopholes can I use? How many corners can I cut to afford people dignity if I'm breaking the rules of God? So I'm giving honor to my fellow man, but I'm going the opposite. I'm being disrespectful to God. So here's the right balance. If a person finds that in his garment there's kalayim. Kalayim means there's a mixture. We're speaking about shatnez. We're speaking about linen and wool. We just mentioned, I think it was yesterday, we mentioned yesterday regarding the tzitzis that he dared up, he had told Rabbi Yonasan only to pick it up. Today we do much more than that. The reason why they didn't do much more because they wore one jalaba. They couldn't hide it. It was their garment. Here, a person has one garment. That's it. And he's on the market, and he finds kalayim. So now you have a challenge. Do you have to take it off? Because God does not allow me to wear shatnez or kavod habriyos. Taking it off then would mean you're walking around like Adam before the Chet. Right? So says Rav Poishtan, you got to remove it. The Rambam says, not only you have to remove it, if your fellow Jew sees that you're wearing it and you're not removing it, he has to help you remove it. Someone else should remove it. And even in the market, kavod habriyos, my tama. So he quotes Shlomo HaMelech, Ein chachma. There is no value to wisdom. And there's no value to tavuna, to understanding. And there's no value to counsel if it's leneged Hashem. When you weigh it against the honor of God. Chachma is great, Bina is great, the Eitz is great. Neged Hashem, it's zero. In other words, Kol Makim Sheyesh Chil Hashem, Ein Cholkin Kavod L'Rav. Rav meaning someone who possesses Chachma. Chachma is great. Azalosh.
So if people don't know it's Kedai, so it's normal.
They don't know. Now we're going to see how far we can get. We're going to find the right balance. We're going to see scenarios where we don't say that. It's going to give you a heads up, a mashal. The next Masechta Shabbos, we'll learn that in the bathrooms of the days of old, many of them were outhouses. Sometimes they were not just outside your house, they were outside. And the Gabaldica toilet paper that they had is they had smooth rocks. Now rocks are muktzah. So we're going to learn that you are allowed to use rocks to clean yourself on Shabbos. Muktzah, kavod habriyos.
Even if he designate them for that.
Even if you did not. So we're going to learn. No, that's all right. Whoever didn't hear, Rabbi Yaakov is saying that when rocks are not only designated b'machshava, we'll learn that in Shabbos, but the ikid is you do something dashmi on the rock to show that's your kavanah, then they're separated for. But even if you didn't do that, and there's many other examples. Why kavod abriyos? Kavod abriyos. If a toilet today gets stuffed up on Shabbos, so the Moshe Paskin, you plunge it. You're fixing kavod abriyos. In other words, it's a big topic. There is a lot of value to human dignity. But here, Rav is giving a case where a person is going to be walking around unclothed in the market. There's nothing more humiliating. Why? Because ain't chachma, the ain't tfuna, the ain't eitzah. Now we have to figure out, where do we draw the line? Let's start. Baraisa number 1. A chazru, kavru asames. If someone was buried, and the chazru, now everyone is returning. And it gives a lot of covet to the avon when people return with him or with her. And on the way back, there were 2 paths back into the city. One of them is tahar, v'achas tameya. This is a classical concept of many people, for some reason, they were buried under a road, in the width of the road. Whoever will travel over the road will be mile over the mace. If the mace is a yid, l'kula alma, you'll become tummy. If the mace is not a yid, then according to the chachamim, you will also become tummy. That Ashbi holds that goyim are not matama ba'oyim. But here, and you have also Kahanim traveling back. A kohen may not become tummy. So says the Braisa, that Ba B'Tara, everyone is following the mourner. If the mourner turns on the Tahar path, then Boim B'Tara. But Ba B'Tuma, but if the mourner turns to the tummy path, Boim Imoy Metuma, to give him honor. Mishum Kavoida.
Mace.
No, of the other. They're returning. Yeah.
Returning.
Yeah. Frag the Gemara, now am I? Hold on. In other words, this Braisa, the fact that we don't, what's the Chiddush? If the Braisa is speaking about Yisraelim, it's a non-issue. A non-Kohen can become Tommy. It means that Kohanim can become Tommy. A Kohen becoming Tommy is violating a lav d'oraisa. Frag the Gemara, am I? Lema, why don't we say Ein Chachma ve'Ein Tfuna l'neged Hashem? It's amazing they took out the word Eitzah. There's a reason for that. Answer the Gemara, Rab Abba. The case of the Braisa is Beis HaPras. Whoever learned Nida, we just learned about the Beis HaPras. Really, there are 2 types of Beis HaPras. Here, Rashi speaks about the more used one. That if there was a place in which someone was buried, and wrongfully they plowed over that area, and there is a possibility, maybe, that the plow went into the maze, and if that happened, then it ripped apart the body of the maze, and if that happened, it could be that some of the fragments of the bones are laying on the surface of the ground. Now, if the body is under the ground, then a little bone is not matama ba'oil, but a little piece of bone is matama b'maga. So there maybe you're going to touch or move a etzem, which kisoira is matama b'maga. Maybe. Now, and the Chachamim said, how far do you go from the original place? 100 amos. And we learned that I need all the details. Now that Tumah, because of the fact that Tumah b'Rishus Harabim normally is Tahar, it's a doubt, is only Midrabanan. That is the case. Rabbinic laws are waived because of Kavod Habriyos, which expresses itself in so many different ways. Here, giving honor to the mourner. He's walking back and a few people are going to go another way. In a culture where this is what you expected, don't go with him. The Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, how do I know that a Beis HaPras is only Asr Midrabanan, Tamim Midrabanan? By the fact that there is a heter. What's the heter? Minapeach Adam Beis HaPras v'hoilach. That if a kohen, if you have to get where you need to get, and you don't want to walk around the Beis HaPras, so there's an eitzah, lachatchila, below on the ground. In other words, the fear is not that there is someone buried underneath, because if the body was crushed, there won't be enough of bones to be matama ba'oil. The question is maybe there is an etzem kisoira on the periphery, on the surface. So below the ground in front of you, even if there is a bone, it's like walking on a minefield. Do things to make you're not stepping on a bone. Or another heter was Beis HaPras Nidash. Once many people walked on a certain path, even if there was a bone, either by many people walking on an area, they kicked it to the side, or they pressed it into the ground, under the ground. Weiter Torah. So the fact that they're only speaking about a Tumah Midrabanan, so an Isser Midrabanan was put aside for Kavod Habriyos a lot more soon. Tashima, another question. You're telling me that if there's a biblical prohibition, then the Torah prohibition stands even on the account of kavod habriyos. Omar Rabbi Lazar bar Tzadok says the Braisa, and we should remember Rabbi Lazar bar Tzadok is a kohen. Medalgin hoyinu al gabi yaroin mishal mesim likras malchei Yisrael. But if a Jewish king was walking in the area and there is an inyan, it is virtuous to go and to greet him, or even to go and to see him. And if you are, the king is walking by over there, and if I'm not going to take the quickest shortcut, I'm going to miss the procession. So Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Tzadok says, I would go through a cemetery and I would jump over graves. A kohen may not be metama himself in order to greet a Jewish king. And now, so the kasha is, how can you do that? Why don't we say in chachma vein tvura vein das? But before we go on, now the Braisa adds another detail, that the concept, the virtue of seeing, greeting a Jewish king is not only for a Jewish king, even on a non-Jewish king. It's an inyan to try to see a non-Jewish king. Now, for that, would he have jumped over an Aran? It doesn't say. He ran over an Aran to see a Melech Yisrael. But why is there an inyan to see a non-Jewish king? Because since we will narrate from Mashiach, and we're going to see Melech HaMashiach, so to appreciate the greatness of Mashiach, it's better for you to have had a prior experience with a Malchei Yakum, for us to have a contrast. For us to better appreciate the distinction between Malchei Yisrael and Malchei Yakum. So now the question is, going back, how did Rabbi Lazar ben Tzadok go over? You see, when you going through, if the kohen doesn't walk within the arba amos, if you don't have a tree that is being mahil over both, no, he walked over graves. Answers the Gemara, this is so good. By Torah law, oil, kol, shiesh, boy, halal, tefach, choitzes, bnei atuma. This is the rule. If you have a corpse, if something is mahil, if you have a roof over the corpse, as long as the oil, the roof, the covering itself does not become tamei, limashal, there's a mace in a building. The mechubar lakarka is not mekabel tuma. The roof is not mekabel tuma. Not only does the roof over the mace not become tamei, now the roof spreads tuma to everything else under that roof. But anything above the roof will not become tamei. It's chaytzes. When? If you have at least a cubic tefach between the mace and the oil. If the oil is mamish on top of the mace, you don't have one tefach, then it's called tuma is boika'as va'oila. It goes through the oil. So he says when you bury a person, think about it, when a person is in a casket, according to this, if the casket is made out of a material that's not makabel tuma, then the oil should be contained in it. Now, if the aron is so close to the top of the corpse that you don't have a tefach, then the tuma should go out. But most aronos have the tefach, which means mid oiraisa, if you have an aron in the ground, that is the ground, and you have a oil tefach, especially in those days they used to bury people in the walls of a cave, in the kuchen, and therefore walking above it should not be tamei mid oiraisa. The chachamim were machmir. Since sometimes you don't have a tefach, so even when there is a tefach, midrabanan, there's a tumas oil. Again, that was a tumas oil midrabanan. Now you see again that for a tumah midrabanan, for din rabbanan, we do trump the rabbanan to give kavod habriyos. In our case, giving kavod to a king. Or seeing a goyish king is not giving kavod to the king. It's giving knowledge to yourself. That maybe does not justify. But lekras malchei Yisrael is to give kavod to a king. So let's read it inside. Again, the Rebbe teaches us that if there's a halal tefach, there's an empty tefach of space, then choitzes with tuma. Tuma doesn't go above the cave-in. It's only if she'ein by halal tefach, then ein a choitz with tuma, and then it's by kas v'oil. Now, yesh v'hem halal tefach. However, v'gazru, the rabbis were goyzer al sheyesh by mishum she'ein b'hem. So therefore, to honor royalty, okay, next attempted question. Let's go. Human dignity is so great. Shedoiche es loises Shabbat Torah. Shedoiche es loises Shabbat Torah. That's a biblical prohibition. V'amai lema ein chachma ein tvuna ein eitzim negen Hashem. Answers the Gemara Tigma Rav Bar Shaba and Amoira in front of Rav Kahana. I'll tell you that Bryce is not referring to a Rav that is one of the Shasa Loisase. That is Ubelav Pasuk and Shoiftim that Loisasu, right? Loisasu, right? Min Hadavar Ashegidu L'Chayu Min Usmai. In other words, Loisasu means that which lav is trumped. The law of don't deviate from what the saviors are saying. It's only a rabbinic law. When he gave that answer, Achichu alei, everyone laughed at him. And he says, lav de loisasur is still a doirais. Now let's go bekitzer. There are many levels of the rabbanans. And let's make two general the rabbanans. One the rabbanan will be, lemashal, God said that on Yom Kippur, you should afflict your souls. Ta'anu es nafshay seich. God did not describe what that affliction means. Comes along the Chachamim and they say that it's 5 Inuim. So is that a rabbinic law or is that a biblical law? So they thought that he was even referring to such a law of the Rabbanan. And that's not correct. Because when the Chachamim define a Torah law, that becomes part of the Torah law. And a Torah law will never be trumped by Kavod Abriyas, just the other way around. However, there are certain rabbinic laws that are not defining a Torah law. It's a rabbinic like muksa. It's a geder for the 3 reasons Alter Rebbe brings for muksa, whatever they are. So they laughed at his answer. So no, loisosur is fighter adoraisa. So Amar Rav Kahana, he didn't like the fact that people laughed at the answer of Rav Bar Shaba. He says, Gavra Rabba Ober Milsa. When a great man says something, don't laugh at him. He's right. Kol Mila de Rabbanan, all rabbinic laws. All rabbinic laws means not only the rabbinic laws that are explaining it in Torah. No, the Gzeras, the Takanais, they are all Asmichinu Alav de Loisasu. And Umishum Kavaidoi, when the Chachamim made a Takana, they lechatchila never made it if it's going against Chabad Abriyas. So it's not pshat that the Din de Rabbanan will be overruled. No, since a pure rabbinic law was never made lechatchila on a case where it's affronting Kavod Abriyas. And here's where Rashi brings 2 examples. One we mentioned already. L'taltel b'Shabbos avonim shel beis hakisei liknoyach. You can do tiltul. You can violate. You can move them. And he gives another great example. You know, if a person is wearing a talus cotton, which we all should, and one of the 4 tzitziyos gets ripped off, you know what happens? Being that the beged doesn't have on its 4 corners the mitzvah, so all of the other 3 tzitziyos, all of the other strands, the fringes, since they're not part of a mitzvah, and they're not part of a beged, now you're carrying them. Now again, nowadays, it's not the end of the world to take off your talus cotton. Then if your only garment had on its tzitzis, taking off your talus cotton would mean, again, that you would be walking around unclothed in the public, just covered abriyas. So if a person is Berachot Sarabim, and on Shabbos, one of the sides gets caught on something, take it off. You'll be walking around unclothed. However, if a person is walking in a carmelis, in areas we'll learn in Shabbos, where by Torah law you may carry, you only may not carry by rabbinic law. L'chatchila, they never said that you cannot carry in a carmelis if it's going to cause you to be embarrassed. Okay, let's go back. Let's hop on one more step. Again, a question. Toshima. This is such a good brayse. We have to learn the brayse. Nashi. No. I'm jumping ahead. Parshas Kiseitze. In Parshas Kiseitze it says that loisira chamoir achicha ishoyrin noiflim baderech v'hi salamta mehen. The mitzvah of Hashavas Haveda loisucha lehi salam. There's a repetition. The Torah says that don't see v'hi salamta mehen. Don't see and make believe that you're hiding from it. Don't hide from it. So since the Torah writes later loy sucha lehi salam, so the words v'hi salamta mehen is superfluous. So taich the chachamim that don't read loisira chamor v'hisalamta. No, v'hisalamta means the opposite. There are times that you may hide from a lost article. There are exceptions where you don't have to return a lost article. Where is that? V'hisalamta mehem. Pa'amim she'ata misala mehem. U'pa'amim she'einata misala mehem. Okay, sad im hayav koyen. And the kohen is walking by a beis hakvaris. and in the Beis HaChaim he finds a lost article. The Kohen may not enter the Beis HaChaim to get the lost article. There's a positive commandment of Hashavas Aveda, and Bechal to know that Ese, Doicha Loisa, that's the whole sugi in Yavamis. Here, no. The Hebrew Beis HaKvaros don't enter. And here the Braisa gives another example. If you have a zaken, it's not this zaken would not go ahead and schlep around the chamoid in the marketplace, or whatever it is, the big box schlepping. So it's not to the dignity of the zaken. The Braisa is telling us he's not obligated for Hashavas Aveda. Chavad Abriyas, mitzvah sasei, and Alavnoch says lo yisuchal lisalam. I go back. Or if this person, the finder, if he would keep on doing what he's doing, the value of his work on the market is worth more than the whole value of the lost article. So him stopping his work to get the lost article, even objectively, sums with a loss. There, they don't have to pick it up, and that's why it says he asks Gemara, Amai, how can you give me a case of a zaken ve'enu l'fi chavoidoi? Lema ein chachma mitzvah